Welcome to Schmooze with Suze. I'm Suze Montgomery, your host, and I haven't had a good rant in a while. It's time. I don't think I've had a really good rant since Elton Gallagher was your congressman many years ago, and thank God he's gone. Now we're blessed with Julia Brownlee, who's actually getting something done, so I'm really happy about that. But if you've been watching the news lately, like I do, and I'm an avid watcher, my husband and I watch a lot of news broadcasts, and I'm very engaged in working with politics. That's what I love to do. That's not my avocation, but maybe it's becoming one. So today's rant is starting with my moral outrage. Meals on Wheels were cut today. Can you imagine? Mr. Trump, your president, not mine, 45th president of the United States, cut Meals on Wheels to deserving seniors, our people, my people. Kids' lunches. No more free lunches, kids. No more free breakfast. Some of these meals are the only meals kids get every single day, along with my seniors. If they don't get Meals on Wheels, they starve. Put that on your conscience. Number 3, public radio and TV are on the chopping block. I might not be here next week. That does not make me happy either. Number 4, healthcare. 24 million people at a conservative guess might be affected by the new health care plan. God knows what it is. None of them can agree at either side on the congressional aisle either. Number 5, how about EPA? Pollutants in the air. Gee, you want to live through smog again? Didn't we get rid of that one time? Who's going to get rich here? Oil companies? Where's Mr. Tillerson? He's really quiet. He's from Exxon, is he not? I haven't heard from him lately. What's he cooking up next? Number 6, jobs. Oh, this one really gets me. Immigration. Okay, let's cut the workforce. He wants to grow the economy, but cut the workforce? Mr. Trump, do you want to pick strawberries? Number 6, how about deportations and that big wall that Mexico's going to have? Who's paying for that? Not me. I'm your taxpayer, and I'm not paying for that. End of rant. If you don't like what I have to say, email at the bottom of the screen. Let me know how you feel. But make it nice. Hey, welcome to Schmooze with Suze. I'm Suze Montgomery, your host, and I've got Elena Waller from the Santa Paula Oil Museum in here. And when was I in the museum? About 3 months ago?
Yeah, about like 3 months ago.
I went through a Ventura County Leadership Academy group, and I was fascinated. It was small, but it was fascinating, and I didn't know a lot of it. I mean, oil was discovered where?
It was, well, in California, or are we talking about discovery of?
Locally.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of discovery up in the Ojai area. Now, I'm not an expert in this field, in the oil, but during the mid-1800s, that's when they started discovering oil in the Ojai area, and that's when the founders of Union Oil started coming down to the Santa Paula area. Because of Sulphur Mountain, they were digging on Sulphur Mountain and South Mountain.
Oh, that's a connection. So they went over.
Yes,
Saddle.
right. Yes.
Okay, now I get it. Now I understand Saddle Mountain. I didn't put that connection together.
Right there. Yeah.
So when I went in the museum, I was just blown away. It was small, but it was so well preserved, and there was so much in there. You had so many little areas to look in, and you've got like a real area, like a living quarters upstairs,
yes,
was it?
we do. We do.
Okay,
we have a mock-up of the 1930s apartment in two of our offices, and that is really talking about what happened to Union Oil building during the Depression. In the Depression, they stopped production of oil in our area, and to justify keeping the building, they had to do something. So they actually started renting out the apartments. They started renting out, the offices as apartments.
No
so people
kidding.
were actually living up
well,
there.
It's perfectly preserved. I mean, I was impressed with all the wood details and all the little accoutrements, like all the little like dishes and everything, down to the smallest finite details of that era. I mean, I was just fascinated. Well, let's back up a little bit. How did you get this job?
Well, I think I was in the right place at the right time. I had just relocated. to Santa Paula. I had been in Santa Paula before, but I left and had gone up to Berkeley, UC Berkeley, and I'd studied up there. And upon returning, I found that my old landlord, Randy Axel, had kind of saved my old house for me so that I could come back, and I was happy to do that because my parents live here in town. So when
Were you raised here locally?
No, I wasn't. I was actually raised in the Bay Area. I was San Francisco Bay Area.
And you decided to go to Berkeley?
And yeah.
What'd you study?
Went back to history of art. Yeah.
So you're perfect for this job.
I hope so.
I think you are. Wow.
Yeah.
And you came back here and you were at the right place.
Right place at the right time. And the former director, Jeannie Orcutt, who is the great-granddaughter of William Orcutt. He was one of the key players in Union Oil, helping them to find oil. She had been there for 10 years, and she was actually moving on to a cancer foundation. She was going on to that, and I had just come in the right time, and I had the background of the Queen Anne Victorian period that I had been studying up in the Bay Area. So it was a nice merge together. So
that's perfectly complementary. It worked perfectly.
Yeah.
That's more than serendipity. It was almost destiny.
Yeah, it seemed like it because I came down. We moved down on Thursday. I had the interview Friday morning, and I was working on Monday.
Wow.
So,
Didn't have a chance to second guess that one, did you?
Exactly, right.
And how long ago was that?
That was about 1.5 years ago. So I'm still getting my feet, my feet are still trying to get wet and figure out what's going on.
Acclimating to
yes,
Santa Paula?
Exactly. So I'm learning a little bit more and more about it each day, and I fall in love with it more and more each day.
It's an interesting small town.
It
I mean,
is.
it's like almost movie set perfect when you drive down
Absolutely.
the main drag.
Right.
I mean, with the old buildings, we've got friends that have a restaurant over there. Clint Garman's got a restaurant,
Right.
who's our friend. But they've maintained a lot of the old look. I mean, they really have not updated it. And I think that's a great idea. I don't want to see a subway, downtown Santa Paula.
Right.
I mean, the integrity is pretty much intact.
Yes,
Do
absolutely.
you get a lot of movie people?
We do. There's a lot of movies filmed in our area. It's almost like stepping back into time in Santa Paula. It is just a beautiful area. And when my husband and I wanted to relocate, this was one of the areas because of that very fact, because
the
it was
charm
just
is
so
great.
beautiful. It is wonderful. And the community is very tight.
Are they supportive?
They're very supportive of their museums. We actually have 4 museums in Santa Paula.
Get out.
So, yes.
I thought you had 2.
No, we
What
actually
else do you
have
have?
4. Well, John Nichols, who has a studio next door.
We just had John here.
Yes.
Okay. So
And he's at the Santa Paula Art Museum right next door to us.
Okay.
And then we have the Agricultural Museum, which is just up the road from us,
And
just
that's
a walking
Museum
distance.
of Ventura County, right?
Yes, that is with
Okay.
the Museum of Ventura County. And then we have one that is the Flight Museum, and it's out by our airport. So it really talks about our airplanes, the airport,
that
and
was
the
a
history.
museum.
It is wonderful. It's open the first Sunday of every month, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to try that restaurant. I keep hearing about Flight 126.
Yeah, it's nice. I've been there before. It's great for breakfast. You can go there and listen to the stories from the guys that just flew in.
I hear it's a load of food, though. Right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, you've got one of my favorite restaurants. You've got Hosie's.
Oh, Hosie's is wonderful, isn't it?
Killer.
Yeah.
Killer. Great bar. Great food. So Santa Paula is undergoing a huge change, right? And I know you know a little bit about it, and I know a little bit about it, but I just wanted to touch on how it's going to hopefully integrate the old with the new, and I hope they don't screw this up. But it's interesting with what do they call it? District 50?
I don't know the name.
I can't remember,
Yes.
21, 51, something like that. It's a numerical name. And Limonera is actually in development of a large housing area. I think it's like 1,800 homes.
Correct.
Which
Yes,
is
I
going
think
to
something like that,
change
yeah.
the fabric of Santa Paula. I
Right,
mean, this is an
right.
influx of all new people.
Right.
And where are they going to work? I mean,
Right.
what kind of services are available? They're going to have, Santa Paula's going to have to up, their services. I mean,
Right.
this is going to impact all your public services, so schools, fire,
Absolutely.
safety, all of this. So it's
Yeah.
going to really change a lot.
It
I mean, I'm
will.
trying to think, do you guys have a great grocery store?
Well, we have Vons and Trasieras, and those
Okay.
are really
I love
the only
Tracy
two.
Harris.
Yes, that's a
right. I love
wonderful
that.
one.
That's a
yes.
great street.
Yes,
I
it
go.
is.
I will drive to Tracy Harris. I don't go to Vons, but I'll go there.
Right. But we're
Okay.
so close to Ventura. We're
Yeah, it's
only
right
about
down the
16.
street.
It's right down the street. So
It's,
most
right
of
down
us
the freeway.
Yeah, hop
So
on
you
the
just
freeway and
back and
just
forth?
come on.
Okay.
Yeah, come on down.
Well, I'm just enchanted by Santa Paula. I almost moved there when we first moved to Ventura County because I love the charm of it. And you know, the museum is, they used to have a hardware store there I used to go to as well. I can't remember the name of it, but it was an old hardware store. It was kind of like a hardware store that had everything.
Right.
You know, it was kind of like a general store type of thing.
Right.
And I'm sure that's long gone too. But they had a theater. I'm trying to remember what's downtown.
We have quite a few things downtown. We do have the theater, which is amazing. I just went to a play there, and that was great.
That's Leslie's.
Yes, that is Leslie's, and it was a wonderful play.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. It's very charming. It's a small theater,
Right.
extremely charming. Again, we have our museums, which, you know, really takes up most of it.
And got a lot going on.
We do, and we have 9 murals in town that really depict the history of Santa Paula and some of the major industries and transportation. They're all throughout town. They're fantastic. If you walk through town and you just look up on the side of the buildings, we have 9 museums. At the California Oil Museum, if you give us a call, we can do a walking tour of the murals for
Cool.
you.
Are you guys open every day?
We are open Wednesday through Sunday.
Okay. All right.
10 to 4. So,
Okay.
yeah.
It's, you know, you could do the museum. We did it in, we blew through because we're at the end of the day, but I would say you could probably do it in a couple hours.
Yes, absolutely.
You
It is
got-
a small museum, but
Yeah.
it's charming.
It's
It
really charming.
is.
It's all the local stuff that I didn't even know about. You had like stuffed animals, I guess, taxidermy animal, whatever. I saw the animals.
We do have Fluffy, and Fluffy is a saber-toothed cat. That was for one of our old exhibits, but everybody loved Fluffy so much that we kept him.
Where
And
would a saber-toothed cat come from?
well, it was an exhibit about the Ice Age and the mammals from the
Oh,
Ice Age.
okay.
And he just caught on, and the kids from our school tours just love him.
Fluffy?
So, yes. Fluffy's a little large. He's been eating a little too many animals around the
my
town, but he's a little large, but he's adorable. Yeah.
And you've got like, I was fascinated by that large room, and you had like an oil derrick in it, was it?
Yes, that is a cable rig, and that is a wood and iron cable rig, and it's about the turn of the century. That's an amazing story. That rig used to be in our main gallery, which was downstairs. Our museum started in 1950 with that oil rig, actually, I don't want to say seized, but it was not moving, and
Okay.
it was assembled in our main gallery, and that was the main attraction for the museum in 1950 when it opened, so
Really?
people could come and touch it and get up close to it. But in 1990, Unical, who was the owner who kind of merged with Union Oil,
Okay.
decided that they were going to renovate the complete building back to its original state and layout.
Oh, nice.
So they spent $2.5 million doing
Holy
this.
crap.
Yeah. And they built an extra building outside in our courtyard so that we could move that huge cable rig out there and start it back up again. So it was always built with the intention to actually run. So when they brought it out there, they actually just started it back up again. And as you walk into the cable room,
You can hear it.
You can hear it. Yeah, it runs. So you get the full feel of what it might have been like during the turn of the century, from the boiler all the way to the drill.
Oh, what a
Yeah.
cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we walked in there, I saw it, you know, I heard it first, and then we walked in, and I go, I think it's working. It
Yes.
sounds like it's working.
Yes.
But I was really
We try
amazed.
to warn people.
Well,
not to be,
yeah, we were
to be
well, we were a
startled.
noisy bunch, so we probably wouldn't have heard it anyway. But I was fascinated by it. I would imagine you get a lot of kids, school
Yes.
kids coming through there on tours. That would be.
do.
I'm fascinated. Like when talk about Santa Paula, and I touched on it briefly with John, but I think we were off camera. about the San Francisco Dam.
Yes.
And I mean, do you have anything on that inside the museum?
Not at this time, but it was one of our most popular exhibits.
Oh, you did have an exhibit?
Did, yes,
okay.
yes, and that was thanks to John. John has done a lot with the exhibits, as you know, he puts together exhibits. He's helped me through the years, so I'm very grateful to John.
He's very knowledgeable.
He really is.
Well, I've got students of mine that actually were small children when that dam actually failed, and they remember hearing it. And I mean, apparently it came all the way down, from what I understand, from the water where it exited all the way down. I mean, it was an earthenware dam.
Right.
First of all, I believe it was made from rock, rock and mud. I mean, well, it was rudimentary. I mean, they didn't have like poured concrete or anything like that in those days. So it was pretty basic, but they had apparently a heavy floods that were occurring, and there was a crack in it. And they called out the chief engineer, which was William Mulholland, because I remember Mulholland as a child. And he came out and looked at it, and he just said, well, I think it'll hold. He wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And then obviously it cracked, and I think it killed several people.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 450
That's
people.
several people.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
And it did wipe out a lot of people in our town in Santa Paula. I know John is the expert in this, so but it was devastating. It was a horrible it was a horrible disaster.
It was
man-made. It was a man-made disaster.
It was man-made, but it was also nature involved.
Right, right.
And one of my students, Wes Cullen, who's in his late 90s, is the one that related the story to me, and he actually gave me a DVD I have, and I can make a copy for you as well as I offered John, a copy of this. It's a piece that was interviewing a bunch of the survivors. And I mean, this is an old DVD, but the Santa Paula or Saticoy Historical Society put it together.
Wow.
And it's really a good piece, and it was really a good interview. It's only about a half an hour, but it would be good to maybe put on a monitor on a loop in the museum.
Absolutely.
And so if you ever decided you wanted to do an exhibit, you might have a piece like this you can run on a loop.
That's also good for the Historical Society, Santa Paula Historical Society.
I don't know if they have a piece like this.
No, I'm on the board, so I can get it to them. Oh, you don't know that? So yes.
Okay, I'll make a note to actually make you a copy of this. And it's fascinating because then he told me the story when he gave it to me of hearing it fail. He could hear the crack. Apparently they lived close enough so they could hear this. And the water from the dam ran all the way through the Heritage Valley, all the way out to almost like to where Castaic is. I mean, the trajectory went out there. And also in the city of Ventura, it came all the way out to the city of Ventura and went all the way down seaward to the ocean, which blew me away because I can't even envision. And apparently the main drag of, what is the main drag in Santa Paula? What is that? Main Street. Oh, yeah. Main Street. Main Street apparently was under 7 feet of water.
That's amazing.
And about how you've got that great piece of public art with the one police officer on the motorcycle?
There's 2 of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Riding around, warning people to get out of their homes.
Exactly.
And people, a lot of them refused to go.
Right.
And so that's where some of the deaths probably occurred because they did not leave.
Right. Yes.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, it's a beautiful story, and it's a very sad story as well.
It is.
Yeah.
That's real. I was blown away about how the enormity of this really hit, Ventura County.
Yeah.
And how this happened because of engineering, I guess, and the natural elements.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a fun exhibit to actually recreate again, to see that. Do you have plans for expansion at any time?
At the California Oil Museum?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. We are actually we were under the city of Santa Paula for many years, and recently we have just been granted separation from the city.
A divorce?
A divorce, but a nice divorce. And we will be under the foundation, which the former director and the Mary Alice Orcutt, one of the people from, one of the granddaughters, I guess, from William Orcutt. They formed this foundation. It's a nonprofit organization. It's to help
Fantastic.
better. Yeah.
So you'll be autonomous.
We will be. We will
Then
be
you can
autonomous.
do just about anything you want. You'll probably have to write grants to get a lot of this done, and probably do fundraising. But you'll be autonomous.
We do that already.
Okay,
Yes.
to
So the
support-
last 5 years we've been doing that
like
ourselves.
operations and
Yes,
everything. You got a
exactly.
board and the whole bit?
We do have a board. It's
Oh,
been
heck.
in
Yeah,
so we're
so that's
ready
a
to
natural
go.
piece.
Yes, and
You
we've been
guys
working on this for
anticipated
5
this, huh?
years. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're
You're
very
doing
excited.
long-range planning?
Right. So we're
Okay.
hoping that this will be a very good change for the museum. As
I
we
think
go
it's a
into
great
it.
opportunity for
Yeah.
expansion and growth.
Exactly.
Now that,
So-
you know, because the city has got limited resources and funding.
Absolutely.
So now you
yes.
can pretty much do anything you want.
Right,
I like
right.
this. This
So
is getting better
this
by
is-
the minute.
yeah.
Okay.
So-
Also, I went out there, I was not sure how this happened, but on our tour that day of Santa Paula, which we stayed in Santa Paula for the day.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So we got to see the new water filtration plant.
Oh, I have not been there.
Whoa, you got to go out and see this thing. This
Really?
thing is impressive.
Okay.
I was blown away how sophisticated with all the latest technology in this. I don't know what was there before, but it's kind of like outside of town.
Right. Yes.
So, but
yeah.
where it is located is probably, is that going to be adjacent to all those new homes?
No, I don't think it'll be in the
It's
same
on the other
area.
end?
It's on the other side of the freeway.
Okay, so
I
the
think.
new
Yes.
homes with Limonera is on the east side?
I think that's where it
Okay.
will be. Yes.
Now, talking about Limonera.
Yeah.
So how is Limonera, do they get involved with you with any grants money or anything? You need to give them money. Yeah,
They have
should.
been very supportive of us in the past, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, and you know, everybody in the town these large corporations have been very supportive of the oil museum. So we're just hoping that that will continue.
That should happen.
Yeah,
Especially
absolutely.
when you think about Limonera. I mean, their stock is doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But Limonera is a large entity, and I was
really
not
is.
aware of the fact that they ship all over the world, and they
do.
also import from all over the world.
Right.
I was always aware of local citrus was grown and stayed local.
Right.
And then, you know, one day in one of my classes, one of my students said to me something about, she goes, well, how come we have to pay so much for avocados and lemons that are grown here? And why are they cheaper everywhere else all over the world? And I'm
Right.
like, duh, I don't know. So I started digging around and found out that there's growing seasons. And then when we don't grow, South America grows and we get their produce, and then the opposite occurs. And then that Limonera ships in and exports out. And the amount of volume was tremendous. And I can't remember how big the acreage was, but they had a huge amount of acreage that was all done with solar panels. You should, yeah, you know,
Wow.
tap these guys
I
for
did not
funding.
know
They're
that.
making money. They're making money. So tap these guys for some funding for that. I'm glad I
They have
asked
been
you
very
that question.
good, yeah.
Because, you know, nonprofits are struggling now with, you know, federal, what's going on, federal and state as far as funding sources go.
Correct,
And we don't know
yeah.
what's going on.
Right.
I mean, we're going to be, and nonprofits are going to suffer for this.
Yeah.
So it's more important that we have our local people, you know, step up to the bat and actually do it. Do you ever do any like events with like the Museum of Ventura County?
We do
Partners?
events.
Okay.
Yes, this year actually, or I'm sorry, I should say last year. We're in 2017, but 2016 we partnered up with the Santa Paula Art Museum
Okay.
and the Agricultural Museum to put on the Day of the Dead. So we had activities for families to come out. It was a free day. They could come out and enjoy the day,
Oh, cool.
learn about the event, and each area we had a specific activity going on that kind of highlighted the holiday and the celebration. And so we partnered, the three of us together, to do that along with the cemetery that we have in Santa Paula.
Where's the
so that
cemetery?
they could, it's actually out on Santa Paula Road or Santa Barbara Road. I'm sorry, I'm
No.
still trying to get my
Yeah, you get your
figure
bearings.
out. Yeah, but it's right there in town. We have a beautiful cemetery, and it's
So like upright monuments, like people like pioneers? buried there? Or
We
something?
do. We have pioneers buried there. If you go there, we have people from the 1800s buried there.
No way.
We have, yes, some of the famous families that we have in Santa Paula are there. If you go there and just walk around, you'll see Hardison, which was with Lemonera, and also with Union Oil. So
Tap the
he had
Blanchards.
that-
I know they got money. Wow, that's fascinating. I did not
Yeah.
know that that cemetery existed out there.
We have a rich history in Santa Paula.
I'm going to have to get out there more often.
Yeah,
I mean, we
it's-
get out there when we go to the plays out there. My
Yes.
husband and I go to the plays out in the Playhouse, and they do a great job over there. And I
really
think I'm
do.
trying to remember the name of the actor that started the Playhouse there, but he was a Hollywood actor. I can't remember
Yes,
his name.
and I'm embarrassed that I don't remember his name either.
It started with an E, but I can't
Yes,
remember his
and
name.
the French director.
Yeah, it
and-
was.
Yeah.
But they do really exceptionally good plays out there. We love to come
Absolutely
out there, and then we
wonderful, right.
eat out there when we're out there
Yes.
too. I've got my favorite places to eat out there.
Okay.
We talk about food. I'm a foodie.
Okay,
Like you. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate you finally getting on here. I know I invited Elena a couple months ago, maybe I think it was 2 months ago, to come on, but she was sick as a dog, so I persisted. I changed the schedule for you.
Thank
and
you.
made sure I got you out here.
Thank
and
you so much.
what a treat to find out more about Santa Paula. Okay,
Wonderful.
I'm coming out. I'm going to join you. Thanks for joining us again, and more history to come. Thanks again. We'll see you next.